Welcome to the Podiatry Profits podcast, where you will discover how to get more patients and multiply the profits of your practice with minimally invasive foot surgery, proven marketing systems, and ethical influencing to your patients. And now, your host, board-certified podiatrist, best-selling author, speaker, and founder of TJ Ahn Coaching and Consulting, Dr. TJ Ahn.
Hello, this is Dr. TJ Ahn. Welcome to this episode. This episode is kind of special because I was invited to speak at another podcast show run by Ryan James Miller. So Ryan has a great podcast called Excellence Mindset. You might find this interesting. I talk about some story like background of me, how I ended up coming to United States with little English, no family members, just came for the better future for me and better vision all the way from South Korea when I was 19 years old. And also I talk about my book, Opt Out, and why I wrote that book and what's the story behind it, what's the vision behind it. And you know, when it comes to, which I talk about a lot in my other episodes, that foundation of success is mindset. You know, no matter what you learn, tactics, strategies, in a way, without core mindset shift, it's kind of gimmick. All the things that you do, you may not reach or achieve the results and goals that you want to achieve without proper mindset shift. So I thought, this interview with Ryan will be also great for my audience here in our podcast show here. Check Ryan James Miller's podcast. You'll find a lot of different guests there talking about mindset. So I think it'll be good, for you to listen to some shows completely outside the box, but it is not really. I mean, it really helps you see many intelligent people, smart people, creative people, successful people, how their mind works. Make sense? Without further ado, enjoy this show. Don't forget to subscribe my podcast and give me thumbs up. And also, if you don't mind, if you find this podcast helpful for you, please give me some good reviews because that helps and helps my show grow. And because my goal is simple: to help other podiatrists become successful, thrive, and survive through tough times.
All right, well, welcome everybody to the podcast. Looking forward to today's conversation with Dr. TJ Ahn. He is by practice a podiatrist in the Chicago area, but beyond that, he has a passion for building businesses. He's an entrepreneur. He's a coach. He consults other physicians that desire to do the same thing, which is really break away from the large practices that are out there in healthcare today and help them to take their businesses private. And as you know, being a part of the audience here, I have a huge passion for healthcare and really believe in private practice and been supporting a lot of direct primary care providers and things of that nature. And so I'm really looking forward to digging in today. So Dr. Ahn, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I've checked out your podcast. You bring very interesting guests, and I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I want to jump around a bit, but I'm interested to hear. So I read in your bio that at 19, you immigrated here from Korea. And so what was that? What was the desire to come to America? And what did you do when you got here?
Well, Korea is smaller than, especially South Korea, where I'm from, is smaller than one state of United States, right? But it's a whole country, and it's so congested in Seoul, capital of South Korea. When I was growing up, Korea was still under development, and we went through a lot of economic hardship turmoil of political kind of outbreak, like military dictatorship, and then fought for democracy. So it was kind of crazy time, when I was growing up, and felt very confined. One of those, I know you're focusing on also mindset. I couldn't, almost like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was suffocating. Obviously Asian culture, in kind of typical sense, parents want to control kids, right? Their future, their school, their education. So that I couldn't handle when I was growing up, like in teenager. But then whole society, it was just, for me, it's suffocating. So since I was 14, I was telling myself, without knowing any mindset, I was telling myself every day, I'm going to America. For some reason, I'm going to America, like every single day. And I even went to a very small used bookstore, like small corner of Korea, Seoul downtown. They sell used foreign magazines. And then I remember I got GQ. I was 14. The GQ magazine kind of all used and worn out. I remember the like ads in there, and I was thinking and telling myself, I'm going to America. I just need to go to bigger country. I need to breathe. I need to open up myself to kind of felt like it's more bigger opportunity. So 19 years old, I had the opportunity. I felt like I was getting out of Exodus. I felt that good. I didn't. So anyway, that was December 30 to 1990.
Wow.
Came to the United States by myself. Yeah.
Wow. It's very interesting to me, and this is somewhat of an ignorant statement because I was born and raised in the United States, but in much of the Asian culture, I think that they get a bad rap for being overly burdensome on their families, on their children, on the society, and really pushing them hard to perform, to work hard, to be smart. And yet, I have so much respect because while that always hasn't been used for the best, for the best outcomes, I do feel like, man, it does breed or create this culture that does desire to achieve excellence. You're born into a society that is like, give it your all and do well, or don't even bother kind of thing. So I really respect that. And I feel like that's not recognized enough everywhere else around the world. And then too, I think you get the short end of the stick because especially in today's day and age, North Korea is always the one in the news. And that's just a terrible mess if we've ever seen one up there. And so then South Korea is all but forgotten about.
Yeah.
Okay, so you come here in 1990, and at what point did you decide you wanted to practice medicine? Because 19 years old, I assume you're going to go to college. And so what was the desire to practice medicine?
Again, naturally, I believe now I look back, I am an entrepreneur at heart, right? So I kind of wanted to do my own thing. I don't want to be told by anyone. I don't want to work for somebody. Then for me, the America was the perfect ground for that. And I decided to go for computer science first. So I wanted to program, back in the days, 1990s, internet has not even come out yet. But, PC world, right? Like a Microsoft, Apple, and then like computer virus just start coming out. And that kind of fascinated me. Like there's people who make virus and there's people who kill virus. So I wanted to study computer science and, get into programming world. And then while I was doing it, I was interested in business side of it. So I added a business major as a double major. And then after I graduated, I went to even Japan. Again, I'd love to explore. I love to experiment myself. That's my personality. So I read a lot of books, but I wanted to experience myself in it. So I went to Japan for a year and a half. During those time, I started practicing Japanese martial arts, Aikido, and I went to Japan headquarters of Aikido so I can learn from the masters directly and also work. So I did that. However, my mother's side, they were healthcare professional. My mom was a doctor. My mom's father was a doctor. So again, they try to control me since I was a kid. You got to be a doctor. You got to be. So that kind of made me repel from that idea and go to computer science and business. But then suddenly I realized, okay, maybe parents were right. I love helping people. So that's why I came back to United States and did the biochem and looked into different specialties, But my time already, my age, I was like 26 at the time. And podiatrist, I visited local podiatrists there. They were having fun. They're, not typical doctors like who are on call all the time. They have their own private practice. And then, they create their own schedule. They get paid well and helping people, again, not like hardcore, heart surgery or anything. So that's why I went into podiatry school.
Okay. And so, so this is starting to make a whole lot more sense, which this is the stuff that I don't get to read in a bio, but now as I fast forward all the way to today, which we're going to go back and talk some more about the past, but as I fast forward all the way to today and read that you've had the successful practice for all these years as a private practice, which most doctors don't survive when they go private. You've written a best-selling book. You're speaking at conferences. You're consulting other businesses. So now it makes sense because, most I will say practitioners and even creatives, artists. So whether you're a doctor, you could be a lawyer, even a musician, the challenge always when they start a business is that they're in it for their craft, but they don't have business acumen. And so that's why so many, I'll just go right to the doctors. That's why so many doctors fail is because they don't have an understanding of business. And you, by no coincidence at all, just happened to go into business first. And so then when you get into practice for yourself, you already understand the business mechanics. So that must have just been a huge leg up for you because you could actually understand what your business needed to look like in order to be healthy, apart from just working on people's feet, right?
Right, correct. Yeah. Obviously theory and, books as a major in business, it definitely did help. So I wasn't it wasn't completely foreign to me. But once I started actually applying those to healthcare industry, obviously there are a lot of gaps. So I had to still invest myself in, modern technology, modern application of business side, finance side, so I still needed to learn a lot. Took a lot of courses, mastermind groups, etc. But you are right that most doctors, they're technicians, like the E-Myth, right? That book, they are good at helping people or fixing people. But when it comes to business side, like revenue, expense, profit, cash flow, or marketing, that's a big thing. Definitely doctors are lacking of.
Yeah. Okay, so you get into business in the early 2000s, or you start your own practice in the early 2000s. And so over the course of the last 17 years, healthcare has drastically changed. And really at the center of that, and no matter whether you believe it was right or wrong, was the implementation of the Affordable Care Act in 2010. And so that really changed the way that doctors were getting paid, that patients were able to access care. And so I would assume that for the first 7 years of your practice, from 2003 to 2010, is you were growing, you were building, you were kind of, you were taking lots of referrals from inside health insurance. You were getting reimbursed by the healthcare, health insurance companies from the majority of your, for the majority of your cases. So you were working hard to build the practice, but you didn't have to fight hard necessarily to get paid fairly for what you were doing.
Correct.
Then
Yep.
the Affordable Care Act happens, and all of a sudden the world changes, right? Because there are so many more challenges that you now face in just trying to get reimbursed at all, never mind reimbursed fairly for what you were doing. So what did that pivot start to look like for you from practicing in an environment where you kind of just get to collect almost what you ask for? I'm being a little bit generous there with that statement, but you got to collect what you required for payment, and you could kind of practice as you needed to. And now you're facing all of these challenges. So what did you have to do to make that pivot so you could become financially independent and not need the insurance companies to continue to be successful?
Right. So 2008, around that time, that was a pivot that it's starting to happen. Affordable Care Act. By, again, theory, it is great. It's ideal. So we provide more healthcare to, throughout people, in a way like socialized medicine, right? So it can provide healthcare to everybody. However, there's definitely shortcomings and difficulties in United States, this particular country. By the way, South Korea is like the perfect example of success of affordable care. So, but again, there's different environment, and we have much less people than United States. And then there are other reasons that it worked for certain countries, and America tried. However, problem is it just didn't work. For doctor's standpoint, the reimbursement, it just kept going down, 20% to 30% cut every year. Okay, so if doctors are suffering from reimbursement, that's the one problem. But now patient side, who works hard every day, to bring food on the table for their family. Now, if it's affordable care, it should be affordable for patients, but patients' deductible and insurance premium and co-insurance, it went up. It's still going up every year. So if you're not a doctor, and then if you're listening to this, and then if you're paying for healthcare insurance, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now it's like typical husband and wife and 2 kids, good private insurance plan is like $1,500 to $2,000 a month.
Yep.
But then deductible, which means that you still have to pay out of pocket, is like $3,000 to $5,000 a year. Almost not worth having it. Just have, I'm actually, I'm revealing this. I don't even have that insurance anymore, because I feel like it's a waste of money.
Yep.
I have what they call catastrophic insurance now. So it's more for major accident, major like heart problem or cancer, or you hospitalization, I pay. Otherwise, I don't want to keep paying $2,000, $3,000 a month and then having $5,000 deductible. So I actually opted out of insurance plan myself, and I'm just paying cash for most typical specialist visits, and then just have insurance for major, big accident or incident reason.
Yep. No, absolutely. And again, you face an even greater challenge being a podiatrist, because you are, you don't face that many urgent cases, right? It's not like people are coming into you for emergency needs. And so then, and I know this, and many people that follow me on social media, I shared a lot of this story. Actually, almost a year ago to today, I had a large foot surgery where I had a hammer toe and a bunion, and it had been causing me discomfort for years. Well, by insurance standards, that was not covered under insurance. That was elective because it wasn't doing any, complete detriment to my body. So if I had insurance, I would have paid completely out of pocket. thank the Lord I did not have insurance, and I'm in a medical cost sharing program that allows us to share those costs, because that was $17,000 by the time all was said and done for me to have both of those procedures done, anesthesia, surgery center, all that stuff. And so again, for you, here you come where you used to get those types of things reimbursed reasonably easily. Then they kept getting cut and cut and cut and cut and cut as every other reimbursement, including Medicare, was getting cut so far. And so how did you start to pivot then to replace that income or start generating new sources of income when you started seeing your revenue in the practice? It had to be going down, and quite drastically.
Yeah. I mean, I physically saw that money going down. But most doctors, by the way, average student loan, medical school loan debt is $250,000, right? So we need to pay bills, we need to pay for mortgage, we need to pay for our family, and But anyway, my point is that revenue going down, and then.
Okay, wait. So can you stop there? I don't want to be disrespectful, but this is a really important thing for me to say, because I'm not in your field, but I observe enough of it to make this statement. I think right now, especially in America, and now healthcare is at the top of the conversation because we're in the midst of the coronavirus and we're seeing an overutilization of services. And so I feel like the doctors are too often lumped into, and other, nurses, they're too often lumped into this problem that we have in healthcare, which, we know that there's this misalignment of entities, the insurance companies, the providers, the pharmaceutical companies, and then whoever the sponsor is for the health plan. So we know there's a misalignment, but the problem is at the end of the day, regardless of how we've seen the fluctuation in costs, the insurance company continues to make more money no matter what. Like they're reporting record profits. And so if they're continuing to get paid their money, no matter, even though like they're reimbursing less to you, that means we aren't lining your pocket, the doctor, we're lining the insurance company's pockets. And it's not that they're always the bad guy, because there are needs in which the insurance companies come in handy. But I just think people need to know and be clear with the fact that the doctors really don't have much handle in this. Like you don't get, like, yes, you can charge 10 times as much as you would like for your, for a service, but you're only going to get reimbursed what the insurance company wants to pay you. And so like, I just feel like people need to hear that the doctors, they're actually suffering through this too, because you're probably making less per patient than you ever have, which means you have to see more patients, you have to get creative with your services. And like you said, you have a family to support, you have bills, you have student loans, like there's so many things. And I just don't think we have enough empathy for the way the doctors have paid the price, especially private practice doctors have paid the prices through this. So anyway, I just wanted to speak to that.
Thanks for acknowledging that. I mean, doctors are humans. Let's not forget just what you pointed out. A lot of times nowadays, modern world society, we tend to kind of lump sum into commodity, right? So like doctors are just a part of a healthcare system, but we are human beings, and we have our responsibilities and errands to run every day, just like anybody else. Yep. So with that environment, I felt like, kind of going back to that story, I was suffocating again from pressure from government, pressure from the big dogs and big brothers, which I cannot handle. I don't like to be handled. I don't like to be controlled. I came here for free spirit and, the America, right? Free country. And then now I feel like someone's trying to control me every day now, even to my work and my personal life. I felt like, okay, so that's the point. 2014, I was just like you said, I had to see more patients volume, and obviously quality of care per patient has to suffer because I had to see more patients in limited time, and expenses going up, reimbursement is not catching up the inflation rate. So that's the moment I decided to opt out. So that's why I wrote a book called Opt Out, meaning sometimes, you need to fight, right? When you get into face the obstacles and struggles, you need to fight through. But if I cannot fight against big insurance giants and government, we need to develop our own way to thrive. So for me, my conclusion was I'm going to slowly, gradually opt out of insurance plans and increase patient quality care, niche myself, differentiate myself to be good enough, different enough that each patient can make choice instead of going to insurance-based physician or specialist. They can come to me by their own choice. So I provide, higher level, better level than what they typically, now patients become like commodity too, like big HMO network or big insurance network, or, everything has to be referral based before they see a specialist. If you have a painful bunion and hemorrhoid, like you told me, and you had to see regular primary care doctor, 6 weeks later, you barely get an appointment just to see a, insurance-based specialist. And from that, even if you need a surgical treatment, you have to wait months to get your, order. So that was about my time. And that's how I kind of decide to go on my own again so I can breathe again, just like I left South Korea when I was 19.
It's interesting how things continue to repeat themselves in our lives.
Isn't it? Yeah.
So I heard a really good a bit of wisdom that you shared there when you said that you slowly began to opt out. And I liked that because I'm speaking to a lot of doctors now through my networks that are fed up with working for the big hospital systems. They're being run ragged. They feel like they're just stuck. And I think part of the reason they feel so stuck is because they feel like I have to cut it all off at once, or I just have to stay here forever. So if a doctor that was working for a large hospital system came to you and said, gosh, I would really like to follow your path, but I don't know what to do. And so, what are some of the first steps that you would share with somebody like that? Because they don't get to control, they're just taking a paycheck basically. And so are there some steps that you give to them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So not because this is mindset based, but I think mindset is everything, right? So mindset is the most important thing when I help doctors transform. However, it's kind of unfortunate that when we talk about mindset first, it's not like immediate results or outcome that they can see or take home with. So I tried to go with the mindset first, but that's the key lesson for maybe people who are not doctors, online marketing world or business world, that I'm sure you've heard or read this. It has to be, we have to provide them what they want, right? Not necessarily what they need, but we know that that's what they need. But as soon as we say, hey, this is what you need, then they're not going to do it. It's because everybody's focusing on themselves. Everybody is. We're human beings. So what's in it for me? So that's my marketing message. I know it's like off tangent a little bit, but so anyway, even if I know what they need is mindset, I don't tell them necessarily right away, hey, you need to change, you need to shift your mindset. But I give them something that can help them, like a kind of fast win, quick win first. So get them really interested in, and then kind of resonate with me. Then I slowly add mindset aspect into it. But again, the doctors coming out of big hospitals or even private practice who are based on insurance, if they want to do their own opt out of insurance plan, I say basically 3 simple pillars. So can I reveal this here?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
So 3 pillars, basically the first one is niche selection, right? So doctors cannot become successful as a hybrid concierge or out of insurance plan, cannot easily be successful if you try to focus too many things. So like I'm calling it generalist of specialist. So you cannot be you cannot be successful if you say I provide A to Z. So, I try to help them. Okay, let's select a few things, only a few things, but you love fixing, you are passionate about. So niche selection and offer creation, that's one pillar. Offer creation meaning if you chose your niche and then you say, let's say bunion, hey, I provide bunion procedure. You're not going to be successful. You need to create a package around the core service and then provide unforgettable experience for your patients. So it's more experience package around that bunion procedure, for example.
Yep.
So that's the first pillar. Second pillar, you need the marketing, not typical branding or generic posting that doctors are familiar with, but they need to learn leads generation marketing, utilizing all this modern technology, Facebook Pixel, Google Tags, so you can target and retarget, so you can nurture them. Guide.
Did you learn that yourself?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. So I run all the Facebook ads and Google ads by myself.
No way.
Yeah. Funnels, all the lead generation. I use Active Campaign. I use pretty much all the things that marketers use.
Jeez.
Yeah. But anyways, so the marketing aspect, doctors need to learn at least core principles or foundations so they can delegate and they know what marketers are doing.
Yep.
And then the final piece is the ethical influencing and persuasion, because doctors need to communicate with patients about self-pay, cash pay, and then 9 out of 10 doctors don't want to talk about or fearful of talking about money with the patients.
Yep.
So those three pillars, but then I say right in the middle, it governs everything. That's mindset. So that mindset, doctor needs to feel comfortable with money. And then also the abundance mindset, the vision board. So those for me is in the middle of that triangle pillar system.
I have had some amazing conversations with doctors over the years, both professionally, just business to business colleague, as well as a patient. And I have probably never heard such a powerful 2 minutes as I just heard.
Thank you.
Say. And I'm not saying that because I'm looking at you or I'm talking to you right now. I feel like, I have a dear friend who just started a private practice, direct primary care practice here in the area recently, and he's struggling with those very things and needs to hear that. And then he probably needs to reach out to you and find a way to work with you. But yeah, that is just, it's so important. And what was interesting too was you talked about even like for the patient, giving them what they want versus what you think they need. And sometimes those are the same things as long as it's just communicated the right way. Like for my doctor again, and we're talking podiatry because you are one and I had a surgery, but he was well regarded and I had a referral there. But what got me was he told me that he guaranteed, apart from some outlying issue, that I could be back running in 6 weeks. Well,
that's what you want, right?
Yeah, because he knew that I was an athlete and I was into fitness. And, I knew everybody else was in a boot for 3 months before they even got to get out of their boot. And I thought, like, if this guy's telling the truth, this is my guy. And so he gave me what I wanted, all the while he knew what I needed. And so I loved that he knew how to communicate it, and it was in the messaging. So when I hear you say what you said, it's just like, man, this isn't just a doctor thing. This is an every business owner thing, but especially in the world that you're in, because I just don't think doctors know how to do this well.
Right. And then, it's not impossible, but, for them to figure this out. But again, most doctors right now running out of time, with the mostly invaluable asset that we have, time, and it's only one way going in one direction, trying to figure this out by themselves, especially a lot of stuff here. Most doctors I train and help them during the coaching call, it's unanimous. They say, TJ, I feel like I'm hearing or listening foreign language right now. But then what I say, That's okay, Tim. That's okay, Larry. You got to keep hearing, even if it sounds foreign to you, that's how kids learn language. Even if it doesn't make sense in the context, in the environment. Next time you hear this, I bet you're gonna get like 50% better understanding. And then third time you hear it, you're gonna get 80%. Then before you know it, you're gonna start implementing them. And that's another big key for me, philosophy, is that not just theory. You got to take action. So the biggest portion of my coaching program is that I put heavy emphasis on accountability. So I'm basically up in their ass, all the time. I use Boxer app. I use, they cannot get away from me because I want to deliver results.
Yep.
And we are so easy to procrastinate, right? So easy to procrastinate. So unless there's a deadline or unless someone's like up, really catching up, accountable for them, it's very hard to keep focusing it because it's so easy to make excuses, right? We have a lot of this thing, that thing. Oh, TJ, I had to pick up this kid. I had to go take my mom to the doctor's office. I cannot be on a coaching call. You see this all the time. And so I don't give in easy. That's my personality. Okay, so I'm basically saying, hey, don't give me that shit. That doesn't mean you're not going to do this or not. Yeah. You're going to do it. Are you? And then I usually kind of ask, they're like, okay, you're right. This is the excuse. It's like lower self, don't put your self-esteem like that, Yeah. So a lot of doctors, they believe I don't sleep. I don't sleep at night. I mean, how can you do all these things, taking care of patients, doing surgeries, and then creating videos, marketing, helping people? I call it time hacking. I say, hey, we all have 24 hours. I need to sleep 8 hours a day to be productive. So mostly I sleep 7 to 8 hours every night. But then I think I'm good at those. I'm just utilizing my time, maximize the exact same time we'll have, and then make it productive, trying to systemize everything, automate as much as possible, delegate if it's not critical that you have to do it. So those things are part of, coaching program when I help doctors to build their own hybrid, more cash-based, private practice without losing any quality of care for patients.
Yeah. That's so funny. I'm glad you said that because that was going to be the next question I asked, which was how the heck do you do all this when you're seeing patients and trying to build your own business and, you're also, coaching so many other doctors.
I think the most important thing is you got to have mentors. I really believe in power of mentors because you cannot do it. Again, you can do it, but you're going to waste your time and energy. If someone has proven and if someone has that system, I'd say invest in yourself and take advantage, get the shortcut, and you can always modify and create your own, but you need that first oomph of success proven by someone else, mentors who believe in yourself, then you believe in yourself by yourself, Yeah.
So. No, that is so good. Man, so I'm almost afraid to ask this, Dr. Ahn, but what's next?
I continue to help patients, but I'd love to, I just hate my colleagues suffer and go out of business. It happens every corner of every city now. Almost every couple of weeks, some surgery center go down, some private practice closed. Hey, Dr. Ahn, or hey, TJ, I decide to quit. I just apply for salaried physician in the hospital. I hear this every week, every couple of weeks, some kind of stories like that. If I can, utilizing this, the whole modern technology, I want to help private practice owners to continue to serve for public health without sacrificing their own finance or their own lifestyle. And after this whole pandemic and, COVID thing going on, actually it's for me more opportunity for private practice owners because now patients are scared to go to big hospitals.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then like yourself, you said you did surgery at the surgery center, but what I've been preaching is that you can do in-office surgical suite for specialists.
Yeah.
So save patient money, convenience, but also you can control your own time and schedule. So I'm thinking future is bright. I'm going to continue to serve doctors and patients.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, so I do business with about a dozen or so doctors right now, which that means I'm going to buy at least that many of that book and ship them to them. And I just feel like every doctor should read this book based upon what I've heard today. And then any doctor that is considering going into private practice should be reading this book. So I'm going to figure out a way to get this into everybody's hands because, again, I always enjoy having conversations like this on the podcast, getting to know people, learning about what makes them tick. Clearly, you have a very compelling story as to why you have become the person you have, and mindset's key to that. But there's something that really stands out to me about you is, a lot of times people write a book, they build the blueprint, they create the funnels, and it's a marketing tactic. And I understand those are all great ways for you to market your practice and to market your coaching programs. It is, but you're proving that it actually works. And that's something that I just don't feel a lot of people have. So I really appreciate your passion for your practice, for caring for people, but not just your patients, but also caring for fellow doctors. So just thank you so much for that. I mean, it's awesome to hear.
Oh, that's so nice of you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for inviting me again. I had a great time talking to you. I felt like just talking to a friend, Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll become friends.
Yeah, we will. By the way, even the bunion surgeon hammer toe, I perform what we call minimally invasive surgery. So I learned from masters, and what I do now for minimally invasive bunion and hammer toe, my incision is like 3 millimeter. And wow. I don't use fixation. So no screw fixation, no pins or wires. And then patients immediately walk in a boot, but immediate walk weight bearing. And I've done traditional open surgery before, but past several years, that was kind of key momentum too. Different. I realized that, wow, it's completely different from what I have learned and been trained.
Yeah.
So that's when I realized, okay, this is the niche. And so I started focusing on my niche. Since then, it is minimally invasive foot and ankle care.
That's awesome. Well, if I'd have known that, maybe I'd have flown to Chicago, both because I love the city of Chicago and because I could have had an even less invasive surgery. Thankfully enough, I had a pretty good result.
You had great results, and you're happy, and that's great.
Yeah, a year later, I still have a big smile on my face. Okay, so people I know can definitely get in contact with you at your website, which is Dr. TJ on tjahn.com. So that's a way. How else can people get in contact with you, follow you? You talked about social media. So where are you at, and how can they follow you?
Yeah, pretty much everything's like DrTJAHN, Dr. TJ Ahn. So my website, drtjahn.com. The Facebook, same thing, //DrTJ Ahn. Instagram, DrTJ Ahn. So, once you come to my site and check out some of my webinar replays and, you connect with me, hey, I came to Ryan James Miller show. I saw your info. Let me know, I might be able to send you a free copy of my book.
Okay. Yeah. And so every once in a while I do this. You guys have heard me do this before. If you are a doctor or you're considering private practice and you want a copy of the book, I'm happy to buy one and send it to you as well. And also for any of the insurance brokers that are listening, if you have a private practice doctor that you care about, that you're working with, contracting with, and you want to put this into their hands, hit me up and I'd be happy to provide a copy there too. So I just want to make sure that we get this information out. We'll put Dr. Ahn's contact information into the show notes, his social handles as always too. So again, Dr. Ahn, thank you. It was really a pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. I had a phenomenal time. This is great.
Awesome.
You've been listening to the Podiatry Profits podcast with Dr. TJ Ahn. To find out more about Dr. TJ Ahn or discover how you can grow your podiatry practice, visit drtjahn.com, or you can also get a free copy of Dr. Ahn's best-selling book, Opt Out: How to Take Back Financial Control of Your Private Clinical Practice Without the Hassle of Insurance Companies. Just go to optoutbook.com.